So, as you might be going through the group's discussion, I had posted something. It's a beautiful experience, and it's the experience of the what we call pluripotent state. Samadhi we already know there is no mind, and yes, there is no mind. But in our case, the whole world is represented to our mind, basically. Communication between our soul and the world, outside world, is only the mind. And mind means thoughts, right? So thoughts are connected to all the objects, people, situations, everything going on outside. So thoughts also have forms. If you drink Heineken, you have a form of Heineken ready, preconditioned in your mind. So next time when you look for it, you will look for that. Because whenever you drink, you're not just drinking, you're looking at the bottle, the whole scene, the whole scenario is recorded, right? So that's a memory. So the mind is a collection of all these memories. But what is a samadhi state? As I wrote down, when you recede, start receding from your mind, little by little, everything starts disappearing. And the true nature of the life that we live comes to the surface. The life that we do live is very interdependent. I won't say just dependent. Everybody is dependent on each other. Nobody is independent. If you want to be called rich, you need poor people. Supposing everybody had $1 billion each, no more, no less than, who would you call rich or who would you call poor? So even poor are dependent on rich and vice versa. Who would call who would you call beautiful if there are no ugly faces? So ugly also needs beautiful to be defined as ugly, and beautiful also needs ugly to be defined as beautiful. So one who understands this interdependency will be able to understand that whatever you do in this world, even if you strive hard and build big mansions and go to the top of the world and whatever, become president, whatever, but it's always interdependency is always going to exist. So when you start walking away, when you start receding from the mind, you start feeling freedom. Why? Because you have created your own existence at the mind level. And remember, mind is only a belief. So your ego, I am this, I am that, I am superior, I'm inferior, I like this, I don't like that. All these things are interdependent. Say you like rose. You need a rose to like. If there is no rose, what would you call like? Maybe something else. But then you need something else also. So all your opinions, beliefs, concepts, convictions are also interdependent. If you call yourself Hindu, then you need other Hindus to be called. You cannot be just by yourself, right? So interdependence is a rule of the game in sansar, in the mind. And collection of those interdependencies, we don't realize that defines us. If you want to define yourself, who are you? Oh, I am so and so. Who gave you the name? My parents did. Where do you live? Oh, I am in such and such street, such and such house, such and such town, such and such community. Everything is interdependent. And we never question this. Where do you have the freedom? So that's where you start realizing, when you start receding in meditation, you are really receding from interdependence. And you will still exist whenever your last thought disappears, that I am Shani, I am this, I will disappear. And you will still exist. The existence will be still there. So now your interdependence is gone. You have a freedom. That freedom is what we call Samadhi state, you're free. Out of all the 5 sheaths we have Annamaya Kosh, food sheath, we have Pranamaya Kosh, the energy sheath, we have Manomaya Kosh, the mind, thoughts, that's our existence also, and we have Gnanmaya Kosh, the Gnan, the wisdom. But even the wisdom needs to be applied. How to live life is still dependent. But the bliss sheath, the 5th sheath, that's where you really find the freedom. So you did find the freedom, but does that solve all the problems? What is it like to be free? So the freedom is expressed in your ability to be whatever you want to be. And even if you choose not to be anything, you can still be the existence. So that's all sprang up from when I did my hike. And it was quite strenuous hike, and it came to a point I sat on a big rock overlooking a huge valley. And I just was tired, fatigued. And then, whenever you do heavy duty exercise, the energy is tremendously available to you. And energy always rises higher. And I see this blueness of the sky that just appalled me. And I just immediately went into that state that I became blue because I have nowhere to go. My old identification is not there. It was not even a meditation that I did, nothing. And it just happens. So the blueness cannot be just described in a real way. At that level, when you are in that state, you automatically become the blue. The only way to enjoy the blueness of the sky is to become the blue. You blue. Now, there is nothing more to explain except you have to experience it. So that is the samadhi is the shunya state. None of your previous identifications remain. But at the same time, you have ability because you are the consciousness, right? So you are in a what we call pluripotent state. Pluripotent state is very interesting state. Is our whenever we are born as a single cell, and then we divide into 2, then into 4. But our different systems haven't started developing yet. We have not developed a respiratory system, cardiac system, digestive systems. All these things have not developed yet. So the initial cells which exist in our mother's womb are what we call pluripotent cells, meaning each cell has the ability to become whatever system it is chosen to be. For example, if one cell has started developing your heart, if the second cell comes, which is a pluripotent, has not been defined yet, a totally ill-defined cell, when it comes in contact with that particular cell, it will start becoming the heart. Now, it wasn't meant to be, but pluripotent means it has a potentiality to become anything where it is required to be. And this is very powerful from spiritual point of view, that you are in that pluripotent state, and then you can be anything you want. Want, again, like I said in my write-up, is not wanting, it's an inclination. I didn't want to be blue at that time, but the blueness just came, and I inclined to be blue, and I bloomed to become blue. You know what I'm saying? So, because there is no mind, there are no desires that I want to be, there is nothing like wanting. It's an inclination, and it happens. So this is how very deep states are explained in several scriptures, and one of them I have a high regard for is Vasishta's yoga. So they describe that as a wooden block, a block which hasn't been carved yet. It's just pure wooden log without any carving. Now think about it. There are so many statues are hidden in it. Now, if you open that, you won't find any. But if you carve a statue out of it, say statue of Ram or Ravan or Sita or Hanuman, whatever you carve it into it, you only removed the wood that did not belong to it. And Murti of Hanuman surfaces, Shiva surfaces. So, but when it is not defined, it remains ill defined, but in a pluripotent state, meaning it has a multiple possibilities. In fact, infinite, until you create a statue of Shiva or Hanuman. Until then, it had all the potentialities to become anything. The same way, child, when the child is growing old, you ask them, "What do you want to be?" "I don't know. I don't know." But once he decides he wants to be such and such engineer or a doctor or whatever, now he's defined. His path is defined. Before that, he was in a pluripotent state. Everything was open to him. So, in deep meditative states, you experience that state because now you're free. And only really you are free when you have given up your identification. Because me, as a Shrenik, I'm locked up. I cannot be anything else till I die. I am born a Shrenik and I'm going to die a Shrenik. This body and all these things are defined, well defined by the sansar, by me even. So all these definitions bind me. I'm bound into this. But meditation is the spiritual path, is the only path that gives you freedom from that while you are alive. At the time of death, of course, you lose your body, your identifications, and everything, and you start your life all over again. But meditation is Mahamrutyu. Mahamrutyu is where you give up your identity, right? And then when that happens, you have freedom. And that state is, like I said, it's a state of samadhi, but at the same time, it's a state with zillions of possibility. It is a shunya state as well as it's a purna state. Purna means infinite possibilities. And they both are hidden, and that's the magic. That's the magic of life. You don't see anything there. You will not perceive anything there. It's a shunya state. At the same time, when something like this interaction happens, it suddenly manifests. So that's the beauty of spirituality. So main thing is to meditate, go deep, and realize not that you should be looking for that state. No, the meditation has to be very genuine, goalless. Things like this will happen because ultimately everybody will end up in this state because there is nothing else. Everybody will experience the same thing. But if you look for it, you will never experience. Now, that's the key thing. Yeah, these lectures are important, but at the same time, if you start making goals out of it, it's never going to happen. Main thing is to, as we always do, that be aware of everything, and awareness, let the awareness survive, including the last thought of your identification. That's when you realize that your identification, your I that you were walking around with, is not real. It's fake. It is totally interdependent. Even though you call yourself different than other people, you're not different. Everybody is locked in this interdependence, and nothing wrong with it. That is the fabric of sansar. This is how it is built. So in the fabric, like if you have a cloth that you make, your threads will be going straight and also threads will be going horizontal. They are intertwined like days and nights, sukh and dukh, peace and war. They're all intertwined. There is nothing you can do about it. That is how the fabric of sansar. But only the brave ones, they want to rise above and realize what is the third option. And that the third state is the beyond, is right, the sthita prajna state, when you rise above everything. And that's when happens when you accept everything. And sansar is not something that you have to hate or walk away from physically. You have to just understand. And when you understand, you end up in the third state. That is the pluripotent state of samadhi. So much for today.